Europe affects us in our everyday lives now, in Europeans.
It's a common enough sight, and one that can be witnessed every day in millions of homes across the European Union. But what many people don't realize is that domestic appliances like washing machines, dishwashers and fridges consume almost as much electricity every year as all of the EU's factories, offices and industrial plants put together. In a European Union that now has over 450 million inhabitants, that adds up to an awful lot of power. It's the equivalent of around 2/3 of a ton of crude oil per person per year. As energy is responsible for nearly 80% of the EU's greenhouse gas emissions, that's a reality we should all be taking very seriously indeed. Particularly as an awful lot of the energy consumed in Europe today is quite simply wasted, around 20% according to the European Commission. And households have a key role to play in tackling the problem, according to the European Union's Energy Commissioner.
If you don't use energy-efficient appliances or don't use energy-efficient bulbs, you are wasting your money, and just for nothing. And it is really should be very painful. It's like taking your euros notes and just putting it on fire. So why to do this? It's completely unnecessary because nobody is benefiting. Resources are limited. Whatever we do now, when we waste resources, we deprive these resources for our kids or grandchildren. And this is also one part of philosophy that we should have taken now on board, because whatever we do as a damage, the others will have much more difficult to recover.
One way to reduce the amount of energy we use at home is to replace older domestic appliances with new energy-efficient models. Some modern refrigerators, for example, consume up to 70% less power than models built just 10 years ago. Similar advances have been made for dishwashers and washing machines. The question, of course, is which new model should you buy? And that's where the EU energy label comes in. Most household appliances sold in the EU today carry these easy-to-read labels. The most energy-efficient goods are awarded A, A+, or A++ status. Poorly performing products get a red G rating. Energy-efficient goods are often more expensive than less environmentally sound alternatives. But according to manufacturers, these initial costs can soon be offset by considerable savings on electricity bills. Besides, efficient appliances offer higher quality and better performances. Paolo Falconi is in charge of energy management for Indesit, one of Europe's biggest domestic appliance makers. Here at the firm's Research and Development Centre in the Italian town of Fabriano, company engineers are continually trying to improve the range and quality of products the firm has to offer. And that process, of course, involves improving energy efficiency. Indesit and a number of Europe's other domestic appliance makers are currently taking part in a scheme called Time to Go. The initiative aims to encourage anyone with domestic appliances over 10 years old to buy new goods, even if their existing fridges, washing machines or dishwashers seem to be working perfectly well. Critics, of course, say the scheme is little more than a marketing ploy designed to boost industry profits. But Indesit and its partners insist that Time to Go will bring real environmental benefits to the EU. Geert Nickerbroek is an expert on sustainable energy. He works in the Belgian city of Ghent with eco-campaign group Friends of the Earth. He agrees that replacing old appliances with new energy-efficient models is a good idea. But he says efforts to reduce electricity use at home should not end there.
What people should do at home is a combination of energy saving and efficiency. Energy saving has to do with your behavior, with doing things like turning the lights off, turning off the coffee machine and putting the coffee in a flask.
De vers gemaakte koffie in een thermos kan gieten bijvoorbeeld.
Energy efficiency has to do with the new clean products coming onto the market.
10 years ago, many of us would have owned a TV, a hi-fi system and perhaps a VHS video recorder. But today, a whole new range of home entertainment or digital lifestyle devices have been added to that list. What that means is that the makers of these so-called brown goods must now take energy efficiency every bit as seriously as white good producers. Mark McGann is Director General of the European Information of Communications Technology Industry Association.
This is an industry that is a good, responsible corporate citizen. We've been building sustainable products for years. The fact that these products are becoming more powerful and you can do more things with consumer electronics, for example, or computers, means that we have to be conscious of the fact that these products use more and more energy. So we have to design the products in a way that the products perform, but that they're also not harming the environment. And I think that industry has shown in the European Union that you can reconcile the two. The need to be environmentally friendly and the need to bring out bigger, better, more performing products.
Danny van der Ooyen works for Pioneer, which is one of the world's largest makers of consumer electronics, and a firm that insists it's serious about developing energy-efficient products. In recent years, for example, Pioneer has tried to reduce the amount of electricity its products use in their standby or sleep modes.
The reduction of the energy use in standby was introduced in several steps. Each time we introduced stricter rules. For audio products in 2001, the voluntary agreement limited consumption to 5 watts. In 2004 it was 3 watts, and in 2007 it's 1 watt.
Voor 2004 lag dat al op 3 watt en voor 2007 is het vooropgestelde doel 1 watt te halen.
The EU energy label was introduced thanks to a European law passed in the early 1990s. But more recent energy efficiency initiatives have come about because companies, sometimes with a certain amount of friendly persuasion from the European Commission, have agreed voluntarily to improve their products. This is an approach that industry seems to like and Watt says is working.
When we work together, we can come up with solutions in a voluntary or self-regulatory manner. We see that, for example, with the design of products, so-called energy use in the design of products, where we have voluntary standards across industry to make sure that competitors are applying these standards across the board.
For its part, the European Commission says it's very happy to back voluntary agreements when they work, but it reserves the right to call for tougher measures if it thinks they may be necessary. By taking a couple of extra minutes to choose products that not only look good but also consume less electricity, we can all do our bit to help reduce Europe's greenhouse gas emissions.